leaking top insider stock trades every day until they stop us. October 8th. The American Eagle insiders nailed their timing of selling the Sydney Sweeney pop, with a whole bunch of insiders selling the stock around 1950 and the stock all the way down to below 1550 now. That's a pretty good example of why it's a good idea to pay attention when a group of insiders are selling the stock after it pops or buying the stock after a dip. Moving on to today's top insider buys, we've got a director at Scholar Rock Holdings Company, which is a biopharma company, where a director just bought $18 million of the stock, his second largest purchase ever out of 18 purchases. He has very good historical returns with 20% 3-month returns and 60% 1-year returns. However, his win rates are about 50-50, so those returns are juiced up by a handful of really good returns, while he has a bunch of losers as well. Overall, though, I'd say it's a moderately high signal insider trade. Their SMA drugs FDA approval was recently delayed due to some issues at their contract manufacturer, so not issues with their drug, but issues at the manufacturer. However, this will still delay things by at least 6 months most likely, which obviously is a negative. However, the stock actually went slightly up on the news, which is kind of bizarre, but that just shows a lot of strength in this stock right now. So this stock looks pretty interesting because they have financial runway into 2027. You have a moderately high signal insider buying going on here, and you have some catalysts now over the next 6 to 9 months when FDA approval does happen, which is still likely to happen. Moving on to CEA Industries, you know that this is a type of insider buy that I personally like as a small part of my strategy, but very high risk because the companies are terrible. In this case, it's a crypto treasury stock for Binance Coin. When they announced this treasury strategy back in July, the stock popped 500%, but it retraced all the way back down to the price it was at before that. Now we have the president who's made 2 purchases in the last week, and the stock's already up 25% since the first purchase. But with these kind of companies, they solely exist to try to pump the stock, so they've got an ongoing stock repurchase program, and then any press release that comes out could cause the stock to pop. So I like these kind of high risk, high reward plays, because now you've got insider buying at a company where literally their whole strategy is to just try to pump the stock. And lastly, looking at Vita Coco, we're seeing a whole bunch of insider trades with 9 different insiders making 30 sales over the last 6 weeks. These sales are all part of 10b5-1 plans, but it totals over $145 million of sales. However, the stock also looks quite expensive, with the price up over 50% in the last year, while earnings estimates have remained fairly flat, meaning their multiples are now getting pretty high. So while not the highest signal insider selling, it is just a lot of insider selling at an expensive company that also has some downside catalysts as growth is slowing and they have to redo a deal with Walmart, which might get delayed as they're expected to do that between September and October right now. So any bad news around the slowing growth or that Walmart deal could cause the stock to fall some. But overall, not a company I'd be interested in buying, and I'd probably look to sell the stock if I owned it. Find all the top insider trades at CEOWatcher.com.